with the pledge.
Honorable Albert Torres Jr.,
Present.
Dr. Sandra Lynn Becker, she will be absent here. Ms. Rosemary Cavazos, absent. Ms. Ana Laura Newman, she noted that she will be absent. Ms. Melissa Mujica, absent. Ms. Alejandra Colesider, not present. Sandra Solis, somebody noted that she will be running late. Ms. Cindy E. Cantu Dominguez, here. Roberto Simpson del Valle,
Here.
Lilian Treviño,
Present.
Ana Laura Cavazos Ramirez,
Present.
Mr. Eberto L. Ramirez,
Present.
and for the record, interim city manager Rosario Cabello is here.
Here.
Mr. Rodolfo Gonzalez, Madam Vice Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that.
Angie Trevino.
Ms. Angie Treviño.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Simpson, want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Where's the flag?
It's
We're gonna get the flag before that's over here.
Outside.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is citizen comments. So is there anyone here from the public that would like to make any comments? We don't note any. We'll go on to item number 5, approval of the minutes for February 28, 2019. I don't know if the committee has all had an opportunity to review them, and if anyone has any comments or suggested changes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second? I second. Second by Ms. Cantu, moved by Mr. Simpson. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6, a welcome of Lilian Trevino, District 6. Hello.
Didn't we welcome you last meeting?
Yes,
It
but not
was
officially.
formally, so we decided to do it formally. So welcome once again.
Thank you.
But tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am from San Antonio. My family and I moved from there about 7 years ago. My husband's from here, so he brought us back here. So we're here now. We have
Kicking
three.
and screaming.
We have 3 young children, 10, 7, and 4. And I mean, pets have always, dogs, cats, everything. That's always been a huge passion of mine. I texted my brother to let him know. He was like, "We've been rescuing animals since like 1990." I was like, "Well, now it's official."
You're in the right place.
Well, good to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7,
Ms.
discussion.
Cavazos Ramirez, could we just bring up general discussion? Ms. Cabello and myself have another meeting at City Hall at 1, and we wanted to just briefly make some general
I'll
comments.
make a motion to bring it up.
Second.
Any objections? Okay, by acclamation, then we'll bring up item number 10, general discussion. And I believe that Mr. Torres, Councilman Torres would like to be ready.
So I just wanted to briefly, I asked Rosario to join us. Rosario Cabello is one of our interim co-city managers. She is the co-city manager that is temporarily overseeing animal care services until council appoints a permanent city manager. Ms. Cabello has been very instrumental in the changes that we've seen Mr. Ramirez bring to this department with the transition that we've had in leadership. She's been very supportive. We've made amendments to budgets that she has recommended. It's a very special situation that we have here because prior to Ms. Cabello's appointment as interim co-city manager, she was tasked by Ms. Collazo to be one of the lead individuals in the intervention team that we had with the previous shelter administration. So without knowing that she was going to be tasked with being interim co-city manager, she did have the opportunity of visiting several departments. One of them was this one where She played the role of maybe unofficially of that of an auditor and how to find ways to better operate the shelter as far as administration goes about. And after she made that evaluation and the determination of change of leadership took place, at that time, Mr. De Leon reached out to me and we came to the conclusion that Mr. Ramirez's intervention, who's been with the city 2 decades,
24 years.
nearly 3 decades, and in different roles in administration. Although we've always wanted someone that has experience with running a shelter, we felt that Mr. Ramirez could lead us in the foundation that this department needed. And we are very happy that Mr. Ramirez has done what, in my opinion, and the opinion of many council members and now this current administration, no other director was able to do here. We started to see that we have the basic, which I called, and it was frustrating for me and Ms. Collazo at that time, the basic foundation and the basic needs in order to operate this department effectively. And we feel that Mr. Ramirez has done that for us very well. And we've also been able to distinguish and separate the roles of the veterinarian, the shelter director, that of council and management. It seemed to not be quite working well before. We had a mixture and everyone was putting their hands into this and it wasn't done properly. There was too many opinions, and Mr. Ramirez has done a very good job at establishing what needs to be established and the roles and responsibilities of many. Now, without mentioning any names, not violating any type of employment situation or regulation, Mr. Ramirez has also made, I don't know if you all are aware of this, and I'm sure he's discussed it with you all, has also made some changes that have led for this department to have a turnover after his arrival. They were employment changes that council was pleading for, as well as management, after she came to evaluate the department. Not only did the changes we felt needed to be made at the top, which is what occurred, we also felt that there was a lack of support staff that was also causing the issues. So Mr. Ramirez has done a very good job in evaluating everybody's role at the shelter as well. Now we're talking about employees. And he's been able to, in a way, weed out, what wasn't useful, at least we think for the city or the department. Some people have left on their own. Council then reevaluated the budget, and I got criticized tremendously because, the shelter is one of my top priorities. And I've been fighting for more funding. And Rosario, before she was co-city manager, she used to do finance. So it's like pulling teeth.
18 years finance director.
But she sees the need and the importance of adequately financing the department in order to be able to conduct performance measures. We can't hold the director accountable for the deficiencies of the department if the finances aren't there. That's the argument I made to council. I do need you all's help, and I was hoping that everyone's representative would be here. Council needs to hear from you. You need to reach out to your individual council member on the needs of this department and the importance of being the voice of those that do not have one. In this case, our animals. Okay, Mr. Ramirez has reached out to me. I've been very vocal about it, and thank God I've been very successful in convincing council to assist us with the deficiencies that Rosario and Mr. Ramirez have identified. For instance, one of them, which may be insignificant for the care of the animals, but very important in order to have this department in operation, is ever since this office has opened, they've never had a custodian. So who was cleaning restrooms, who was cleaning the comfort room, who was cleaning an office? We were able to budget that for Bethel, so they will have a custodian soon. Dr. Leindecker recommended that we have 2 veterinarian technicians. We have students attending TAMU to become veterinarian techs. They have nowhere to go because the few vets that we have are to capacity, and we have students graduating that are coming back with that knowledge and wanting to help. Council saw the importance of that, so we budgeted for 2 veterinarian techs that Mr. Ramirez has already posted on the website and is hiring for. So spread the word if you know of anybody that might be willing to come for the city. We have great benefits and great starting pay, and I think they're above minimum, if I'm not mistaken, for the city, because our minimum wage is $12 an hour. Aside from that, we also budgeted for 2 kennel workers, that is my understanding, which is also important for the maintenance of the kennels in order to ensure that we have a clean shelter, because having a clean shelter is important. Appearance is everything, right? So if the shelters are full of urine, feces, whatever, and someone comes, they're not going to want to adopt an animal because it raises health concerns, it raises cleanliness concerns, and it's just not appealing. So when speaking to Beto, he said, I may need 46 more kennel workers, but I'll settle with 2 this year. Keep in mind, we adopt budget August, September, last year dragged to the last week of September for October 1st. For us to make these type of changes, it's very common at the county, but for us it's very difficult because it has to be an ordinance in order to change the budget. So it takes 3 hearings to see if the people agree, the constituency. 3 hearings, because we're amending the actual budget. We were successful in doing that. Legal has also been very helpful in trying to waive the 3rd reading so that Mr. Ramirez could expedite the hiring of those employees. So in a nutshell, I think that we're headed in the right direction. We are here to help. I've always been very open. Some of you have called me with concerns. I'm happy to say that for a long time, I haven't got any concern, fingers crossed, I don't want to jinx it, as I used to a couple of months ago regarding situations here at the shelter. Everything seems to be streamlining a lot better, and we thank Mr. Ramirez for that. Mr. Ramirez wanted to retire sometime soon, and we've asked him to hang in there until we find someone to take over the shelter, but we haven't had really much interest in anybody coming. Why? Same thing as the city manager situation. We have right now an image that has carried on with the city, and the shelter is very similar to our situation at City Hall. Our image is not the best right now, and it's unfortunate that I'm saying this, but we're having trouble attracting people to come up for Laredo, or at least for the city. Same thing with the shelter. We've had people apply that unfortunately do not meet the qualifications because it is a very well-paying job, so we can't, remove, maybe, we can mess around with experience, but we would have to bring the salary down, and if we bring the salary down, the people have applied that still don't qualify, don't want to do the job. So it's rather than being a give and take situation, it seems as if, we can't do much. So we're hoping that we get the right person, but for now, I think that eventually Mr. Ramirez is the right individual that we've chosen. Even though he doesn't have any animal experience, he has shown and proven himself to management and to council that, he has taken really the bull by the horn in this department and has streamlined a lot of the issues and situations that we've had. But that is something I wanted to share with you all. Please reach out to your respective council members. I have I don't hold back, so I will tell you, District 1 is Councilman Rodriguez, he's very supportive of the shelter. District 2 is District 1 is Councilmember Gonzalez, very supportive of the shelter. District 2, Councilmember Rodriguez, also very supportive of the shelter. District 3 is Councilmember Mercurio, he was not opposing, he's very neutral and trying to help. District 4 is me. The mayor, whoever's the mayor's representative, I think that's Rosie Cavazos. Oh no, that's Lulu Newman. So we need to reach out to Lulu. The mayor, I think, needs a little bit more insight of the operations of the shelter so that he could see firsthand. And he's visited the shelter when we had the situations with management. I think it was before your time, but though you were here, right, when he visited the shelter once. And he saw firsthand, but he's overwhelmed with a lot of the work as mayor that we have. So he needs to, be reminded. So if anybody sees Lulu, please relay that message to her on my behalf. District 5, Councilmember Villalobos, she's the one that gave me the hardest time. But she's very concerned about our city budget overall, right? And I don't blame her, we all are. But when it comes to animal shelter, for me, it's really important that we fund this department properly. And so she wanted for us to do away with the department and hand it over to a nonprofit organization, which would be taking us back about 10 or 20 years. I actually fought that because it wouldn't be beneficial for the city, it wouldn't be beneficial for the nonprofit organization that would be willing to take it over, which there isn't one right now that has said, yeah, we'll take it over. It would affect our employees, it would affect, the tremendous amount of work that we've done, to go back into what we used to do in this city about 15 years ago, where, the Laredo Animal Protective Labs used to do it, and we would give them what, $250,000? And we would just give them all the responsibility, and it's your baby. Right now, I think we're operating with a budget of 1.8, 1.2 million.
That was 2.7.
2.7. 2.7, I'm asking for a $5 million budget, that was a criticism, I said we need to double it up. But 2.7, if we give it to an organization, and let's say we didn't give them $1 million, or $2 million, I mean, if we're short, you can only imagine a nonprofit. So, then we have, District 6, which is Marte, very supportive of the shelter. District 7 is, George Algill, supportive of the shelter, but has a dislike for cats.
As his representative, I'm one of the few cat people on the board. So you can imagine our conversation.
You see, I don't own cats, I'm already fond of them, but I care for all the animals. I think we should be, fair across the board. And District 8 Councilmember Bali doesn't have any pets, but he tells me, Humberto, if you tell us we need to do it and you're a guy there, just tell me and I'm here to help. So that's the situation we're in. We are okay for the remainder of the fiscal year. Come the new fiscal year, we continue funding the positions we gave Mr. Ramirez at his request. I'm sure there's gonna be more requests coming, and we will take it from there, but, I'm here to support whatever endeavor the shelter has, and so just.
Yes, Councilman Joseph, I know you're in a hurry, but has the council already then started, or already have something in mind for next year's budget for?
No, that would be in the budget workshops. It's a proposal maybe that comes from here from the workshop.
From August.
Yes, and so Beto would, Mr. Ramirez would take that information and present it first to our city managers, which is us, Robert and myself, present it there, and then we take it into consideration, and then we would take it towards a budget workshop after that.
And so working backwards to fall into what you're asking, I've already prepared the operational budget and I'm fixing to finalize the capital improvement, budget. So the capital improvement, we're looking at right now, I can announce it because I'm still working on it, about 1.5 million.
That's on top of the 2.7.
This is capital.
Capital is separate.
One-time expense,
So
yeah,
there's
which is brick and
operation
mortar.
budget, and then there's a capital budget, like brick and mortar. So that's a completely separate budget.
Right, so again, we present those to them and whatever's available with bond monies, they'll put them in a bond package, whatever's not, gets deferred for the following year, we go through the same process. So that's pretty much how
And
it's.
so council gets to decide on the priorities, so we'll have a big list of projects, anywhere from health department to animal care to public works, and there'll be a list, and council will decide, well, this is priority, and this is priority, and this is priority.
I know
That's
that.
what he's saying, reach out to the council.
I wonder, because when you're looking at the budget, I would hope that at some point for I acknowledge of the entire committee, we would get to see what is being proposed for next year for this department. And I'm sure Mr. Ramirez will probably bring it to us for our information. And we had a very lengthy discussion at our last meeting about the current budget and some of the issues with it. But one of the things that I, as a board member, and again, as one of the few cat people on the board, would like to bring up for you all to consider, because I know that you all have not been attending our meetings and maybe are not aware, but over the last year, there has been much discussion about the TNR ordinance. And in order for that, in order for us to get a higher live release rate, TNR is very, very important, and that is going to require some funding, because we've got one vet on board who also has her private practice, and so I want to be able to sit with Mr. Ramirez and discuss, and I know Ms. Solis and I have discussed this, about sitting with Mr. Ramirez, because he has not been here the entire last year that we discussed this ordinance and how it should be implemented and before it goes for a final approval of council. But it is going to require at least some minimal funding to implement TNR.
So TNR has been in discussion since we established the committee,
Right.
even since Omero was here.
Right.
And,
You told me that there was an ordinance.
so that's what I was gonna get to. So we got misinformation through the different channels, and I placed an item on the agenda last meeting, I was here a couple of months ago, to adopt a TNR ordinance. Well, apparently an ordinance had been adopted sometime back. So what we had recommended at that time when Mr. Head was here, now maybe all recall, was let's review the existing ordinance and let's just submit an amendment to the TNR ordinance rather than recreating an ordinance that would conflict with the existing one. So if you can
And we
research
did,
that.
it was in it was back in 2006,
15, 14?
No, actually in 16, when we went to city council. The only thing that the ordinance says stated that.
Very simple, very.
Yes, but basically it was just giving the directive to the director of
Shelter.
the shelter to start the TNR program. That's it, because it was under the
He did
health
The
department. That
problem
was,
is we don't have the
He did show
staffing
me
to do
something
it.
else.
That's the
He did
problem.
show me, I have to pull it back out. but-
that was the only thing that it changed, but we still needed to adopt the.
So
He did show me more.
we would like to sit down with you all to discuss what it would take from what we have learned over the last couple of years of
And TNR is very different from SNR. SNR is a shelter neuter return.
Yes.
TNR is what we as a community fix. We fix it as a community. It doesn't have to do with, TNR is more people doing the spay neutering than the shelter. If we wanna do the shelter also, that's SNR.
I
That's
think
where we had
I
already
think for the
talked
Laredo
about.
community, it would be an
Yes,
SNR, not a
yes.
TNR.
and we discussed both of those. And so we would like to sit down with Mr. Ramirez and you all
Yes, of course.
to discuss the implementation. And we had, the plan was months ago to have someone from the Animal Control Services Department and from Austin to give us a rundown of how they did it. And so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, it's great to pass an ordinance, but then how do you get it going? And
Who has an
that's what we
SNR ordinance nearby? Samson has a
They
TNR?
have some
The valley over here,
Actually, the valley doesn't.
What's it called? That place, I think.
Houston?
No.
No, most of this up north, like Austin, San Antonio, El Paso just became they went into a 90% life release rate, and they were like 10%, and they made it into.
Let's coordinate something, Beto, so maybe we can visit Austin or something and let's
Yes.
sit down with them and
Yeah,
check it.
and they're willing to come down here and visit with us, so we don't have to go over there. But, you know, we would like to sit down and discuss that. They are very open to helping us.
The other thing I wanted
And
to,
TNR, it doesn't have to do a lot with, yes, there's a budget, you know, we're ready for TNR. We might not be ready yet for SNR because we don't have that budget in-house right now, and we don't have so many vets to do all the surgeries where we pick up cats, where the city picks up the cats, they fix them, and they put them back on the field.
release them.
Yeah, well, it's called return.
Yeah.
Because of the ordinance. We
So
can't
you're saying
release.
TNR is kind of like the first step and then we move to
Exactly, and then
SNR?
we move to SNR. But if we wanna see a difference.
So TNR, the community themselves are allowed to catch the cat or trap the cat,
Bring them.
bring him here?
Not here,
Necessarily.
not necessarily
Not
here.
necessarily.
So
They
they
can
pay
take
for
them-
themselves for this?
If we
I
have.
still, I know a lot of people
Okay.
already do.
Okay,
Yes,
Yes.
we all do that.
So I
if
think
we can
that,
get, if we can get beds, or the budget where
You
the
see-
city comes, where it says, where they can give vouchers, like LAPS does, give vouchers to the vets to, you know, to lower the cost and to be affordable.
you see, but if people are already doing that, maybe, it's not enforceable at this time with the TNR, then I think we should just jump right into the SNR.
Well,
And you present
SNR,
to us what the cost is, all
SNR
right,
is
we need.
important if you look at your rates, and I know we have an item on our agenda for that, but it shouldn't be a death sentence for every, well, you can't really do that with dogs, but with cats, it should not be a death sentence to be caught by animal control, and if you're not,
And it has to be in the ordinance where the TNR is approved, because animal control will not pick up, and I look at you because they're in control, they will not pick up the cats because they already have the universal sign that they're being fixed. So they're working cats, they're community cats, so they, animal control doesn't pick up those cats.
Right.
So would the vets be able to do the spay and neutering under the vet's license? Or they can do spay and neutering?
No,
They
no,
can.
No, they can do it, all
So
vets-
maybe once we get the
It's
vets,
not low cost,
I mean,
and that's
the
the
vets,
problem.
what's not low cost?
The
The spay and neuter.
No, but if we jump into the SNR and we're gonna have vet techs, we started with 2, we wanna bring 2 more to a total of 4. Wouldn't those 4 be able to,
Not vet techs, it has to
They
be.
have to be supervised by.
well, that's what I'm saying, the vet techs could do it under the
Actual
veterinarian's
presence.
license, oh, the actual presence, okay.
Of the veterinarian.
Well,
So
that's
we wanna sit
something,
and discuss that with
right,
you all.
okay, well,
because it's
bring us a
long-
proposal then, it's something we can look at. The other thing briefly before we take off, because I know we're late, we're looking at the records.
Yes.
The other thing that I also wanted to discuss was there's funding, there partial funding for the cat house, right?
No,
Not anymore?
funding for the cat house?
There was a motion
Partial?
made by council, I
About
will
a hundred?
discretionary funds,
No.
and each council member, and I kind
No,
of
no,
saw
no, we talked about that last week. I went back to the ordinance or to the motion, and the 175,000 that were put, by
4 or 5 council members.
4 council members, were for the washers and dryers. And other things for the.
I remember the motion was.
No, I went back to the motion.
To the minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, to the
Well,
minutes.
and the reason why I say that is because management had money for the washer and dryer, so we could just make a new motion.
So the thing is, the cat house
It's not gonna be one
is
seventy-five.
not gonna be.
No, I understand, but,
Of course.
so basically what we had recommended
It's
before was,
500,000.
okay, well, it's doable. What we had recommended was, why can't we make the clinic the cat house and build a new clinic?
It's too small.
It's too small. So what can we do with that clinic? That clinic is even too small to be a
All
clinic.
right, so getting into that, CIP, what we have is an expansion of the clinic. So basically, we're gonna be expanding the clinic, and I've got a CIP for it as well. And the expansion would separate the operation, the spay and neuter, from the vaccines, the vaccinations, and other, yeah, we need to separate it, because of, disease and.
Right, yeah.
So,
How about with the dogs right now? You're fine with the space you have?
pretty much, right now, even though we've got about 200 plus, 210, yeah, we're good, but anyway, all that is in our CIP, we're the season.
Would you like me to forward the ordinance, the TMR ordinance?
I think I have it somewhere, and I think you all got it,
And
right?
I have it too.
Maybe to the new committee members too.
What, I'm sorry?
You haven't received any emails, right? You're in your first meeting or second meeting?
Text.
I'll email
Get it to
you.
her. She's finding money.
I'm looking, but I guess we do need to go,
We went out on RFQ, as a matter of fact, for that cat
you
house.
did,
Yes,
You
but there
did.
was no funding. The CIP had $0 for 2019.
So you spend the 175?
No, it's still there.
You want me to put it on for any motion?
I can't do anything with 175.
No, I know, but so we
No,
won't. You're not touching it.
I've got something that I need to
For
present
CIP, yeah, for
for that
CIP.
175.
How about the washer and dryer? Did we already proceed with the purchase?
No, where do you go? I don't have drainage, I don't have water connections.
I'll look for it later.
Yeah, so, but I have a plan.
Okay.
What enough?
Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. And whenever y'all need, I'm on the email thread. Y'all can do it. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for attending.
Meeting, all of you, thank you. We will have an interview tomorrow, but I will,
I had a meeting at 1.
we just got one after, so what's this? I just want to.
Vamos a ver.
That does not know it's happening.
Like Mr. Ramirez.
Oh,
Next item, general discussion that was moved up, and for the record, at 12:52, our chairperson, Sandra Solis, has joined us. And so, we moved up item 10, but we are now on item 6.
Are we
Madam
done with
Chair.
item 10?
Well,
Any
yeah,
other general discussion?
item,
well, before we move on, other than what's on 7, 8, and 9, is there anything else that we want to discuss in the general discussion before we move on to the next section? That's outside of the agenda items?
No.
then I'll hand over. Okay, well, then item 7, reads discussion of possible action related to shelter live release, shelter programs to increase the live release rate, and any other matters incident thereto.
I would defer first to the chair,
Okay.
since you put the item, if you can give us a little bit of what the purpose of the item is.
The discussion of the item basically is that we, numbers or, you know, how foster to adopt, your totals of how many, foster to adopt the shelter has. Also,
That would be item 8,
Oh,
and I
sorry,
don't
sorry,
know
sorry,
whether
sorry,
discussion of
no,
both.
no, sorry, I jumped, sorry.
Yeah.
Basically, what programs are in place right now to increase
The live
the
release.
live release, rate of the, more animals to be saved, you know, not getting euthanized, in other words. What, do you have any programs in, you know, that, or what's your plan?
Programs in place, we don't have any new programs from what when I came in. However, what we have done is that we have reached out to the rescue groups, and we have been very successful recently. As of recent, Michelle DeVise has come in at least once or twice already, and she has rescued, probably close to 30 or 40 dogs. These past 2 weeks, we're getting ready for another 30-plus dog rescue on Tuesday, and so we've already got all the animals tagged. So we are really, my focus, when I came on board and I saw what was going on, other than putting new programs, which right now, my purpose was more to get this organization back in shape, you know, put the people in the right places and so forth and so on. And do the budget, which we've been, it'll be concluded on Friday, so I'll have till Friday to make my final changes, do my capital improvement plan, which I'll share with you as well. So I really I didn't have time for any new programs. However, there was a huge deficiency in the relationship that this organization had with rescues. They either didn't like the person that was doing rescues, or they didn't think we were doing enough. They were pretty disappointed with our ratios as well. So we sort of rekindled that, and I think it's working. I'll just briefly, I didn't provide you this information because we haven't finalized the month of March. But I just, if you look at your statistics that we put in your packet, on the second page, you have statistics for each of the weeks of March. We still have a few days left. And so what I did is, since we didn't want to present on the last page the March numbers yet, because they would only be partial since we hadn't completed March. But just to give you an idea where we're at with the intakes, we're still average with intakes with both cats and dogs. I think the number of cats that we have this month are going to be lower as far as intakes. The euthanasia rate for cats and dogs are going to be significantly down from the average. So for instance, January and February, dogs were 114 and 82, and cats were 183 and 151, respectively, for January and February. So if I total March 1st to March 27th, which we don't have a total because we're running by weeks, I total that, and the total euthanized are 60 dogs and 81 cats. So the number of cats came down by half.
That's great.
Okay, this is what's going on in March.
And what was the reason for that?
The reason for that is the rescues. That's how important the program is. It's critical. And so if the rescue groups don't want to do business with you because you mistreat them, because you don't work with them, or maybe your attitude towards them, again, that was part of the change that I made within the organization. So I firmly believe that in order, with the budget that we have in mind, with not having any new programs that anyone may bring up other than P&O, And again, obviously, we can't say that that program is gonna take place, or SNR, because we're not there yet. We've gotta deal with what we're doing now while we implement this other program. So, it's very critical that we work with the rescues, and I think, maybe, I hope it's not an anomaly, that it's just 1 month that I bring the numbers down. But, I mean, Rudy can attest to that, what we're trying to do to work with these groups. We haven't had a massive, euthanized list of dogs. We're gonna have to put a list together here shortly.
Are these groups local?
Pardon?
Are they local?
No,
They're from,
they're mostly, mhm.
from San Antonio,
Yes, but again, reestablishing is very important, because we've lost some groups that just don't care to do business with Laredo. They either don't like our numbers, or they don't like us personally, or something that, with the treatment of that, or whatever. But for whatever reason, the people that were handling it are not here anymore. So we've got new people. There is a program coordinator that has been posted, and I've already interviewed, and I've already selected a person for the resignation of Samantha. Samantha resigned. She gave me 4 days notice. So I posted the position immediately that same day. And I, thanks to the council member, we got it posted. There's no need to HR, it could take 10 days. And so, I've already, recommended someone for the job, so hopefully it's in the process. So maybe within a week or two, we may have someone on board.
Michelle and her team have like a list of rescuers that they work with, so they're happy, they'll reach out to more people, and that'll help
Yes.
us a lot.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Michelle and I were working together yesterday for the, coordinating the group that she's gonna be taking out on Tuesday. Okay. So that's the plan for now, and I'll be more than happy to meet with both of you, independently or collectively. We can do a workshop, or we can do next meeting for that. We can bring ideas, we can review, we can send you everyone, send out the ordinance that we have, and that way when you come to the meeting next time, you come with new ideas or new amendments that we can consider, for me to consider, and so that, because again, the amendments have to go to the city council, I've got to present it to them. So I need the committee's input, and through the committee's input, we formalize it, we finalize it, and then we submit it to the city council for approval.
In our statistics that you've been giving us, I personally would like to see some comparison of year to date, like from last year to this year, in terms of percentages of our library streets.
Okay, so that's a good point. And so what I'm coming to grips with right now is also, again, part of the changes. I am in the process of probably getting rid of Shuffle Pro. This, the report, it's our application that we use, our program that we use to capturing all this information, intakes, euthanasia rate, everything. And it's like an off-the-shelf type of program. So I am in the process of reviewing, and I think we're gonna go have a demonstration from Comedian. And so Comedian is used by a lot of San Antonio, Austin, a bunch of communities, and so it's out there. And so I'm gonna put a cost proposal together and replace what we have. What we have here is very difficult to get to, because the system that we have, the software, is really useless. Okay, so that's part of what I'm recommending, that we replace the current software. And as we speak, I've already got the numbers, I'm putting them together. I've got IT working on it as well, because there'll be servers involved and so forth and so on. So I've got cost estimates that I'm getting right now.
I'm aware of that ever since Omar was here, there was a lot of manual.
Yes.
Took
A lot of spreadsheets.
Yes, and,
So I'd love to comply to that. I will attempt to provide that information. I can't promise that I'll have it. I'm short in manpower. But if we find a way to get it to the system, I'll be more than happy to provide that.
Thank you.
And to return to owner, the numbers are kind of low. Is there because they're not scanning for microchips? Is there not like people?
coming in from
The return Well, Rudy, you wanna address that?
The return to owner numbers are low because a lot of these animals are not microchipped at all. And, so folks will steal it. And the other reason is because they'll be cited if they claim their pet. Because those are violations of the city ordinance, over dog at large, and they're afraid to come and claim their pets.
We had had some discussions about how, rather than the fine or fees, that the monies that they would pay would go towards paying for microchipping and making sure that they were either spayed or neutered or vaccinated or whatever, so that, other than just money that goes into the city coffers, we get some benefit out of it, you know, and there would be more of an incentive to come and pick up your dog, you know.
What's the fee for the citation?
The fees for a violation for dog at large is $100 but the minimum is $100. It's a minimum, it can go up, it depends on if there's a previous violation, then the judge may increase that.
But to address your point, we don't spay and neuter dogs on the city.
Right, but what I'm
They
saying
have-
is, that was one of our discussions that we said, you know, so that people, so that we don't have this problem again, and so, you know, there's, for example, in some of the other cities, when an animal keeps getting out of a yard, and it's because the people don't have a good fence, some of these other shelters have programs where they go and help, low cost to fix the fence, so that you don't get the animal out of the street so often. But in our situation, if we could get these animals microchipped, and the city has microchips.
But we charge the fee.
Exactly, but if you're gonna charge them $100 to be able to say, okay, it's $100 or whatever it is, but it's gonna go, we're gonna require you to microchip the dog and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we hopefully eliminate this from happening again, and you return the dog instead of euthanizing it or trying to find somebody else to adopt it. And we would have to spend money, if it's an adoptable dog, to get it spayed and neutered and vaccinated and everything anyway. Let's let the owner bear that cost. You return the animal, you don't have to feed it or, you know, spend your own money, get them to spend the money.
But we do that. If they come in here, we require, and they're not microchipped, we require that microchip, so we'll charge them before it gets released.
Well, yes, and that's what I'm saying, but we also not only do microchip, we tell them, look, you know, we can fine you, but instead of fining you, you know, we can help provide these services, and before we release the dog, but you're gonna have to pay us for it instead of the fine.
Well, or apply the fine against the cost.
Exactly.
Well, the fine is,
Yes.
if I may, the fine is separate from us. The fine goes to municipal court, so we're out of it. So we can't,
Well, that's what I'm saying, but we had a discussion about this last year, and that was something that the committee voted to recommend.
remember, again,
It's out of our control.
it's out of our hands.
Okay.
We can do what we can. We're, you know, I can't, we can't, this body can't go to the city manager and say change, and from now on, it's not gonna go to the court, it's gonna go over here. You know, we're mandated, that's why the court takes those cases. The court may not charge you the fee and give you community hours, or they may dismiss the altogether.
Okay, so if I understand, if you can explain to me the procedure, the animal gets picked up, it doesn't have a microchip, the owner comes here and says, hey, my dog got out, that's my dog, what happens next?
Once he's identified, then the next step will be to go ahead and, if he's a microchip, we apply a microchip, and the person is counseled by an animal control officer, so that we can explain to them what's going on. And since the dog was on the street, a citation is issued to that particular individual.
And does that person have to come in with proof of rabies and other
Correct,
vaccinations?
yes. Warnings are also issued because some people, their pets are currently vaccinated, but they don't show up here with those, the proof of vaccination for rabies. So we're asking them within a certain amount of time that they show that document here at the shelter.
Here at the shelter.
Yes, if they do. If the pet is not currently vaccinated, a citation is issued. and they need to present themselves to the court.
Is the dog released to them at that
And
time?
at the time it is released, as long as they pay the fees for impoundment of the animal here at the shelter and the days that he's been here.
Would you mind if I step out to address the thermostat?
Oh, okay.
You'll keep,
All right. Maybe we need to talk to our municipal court judge.
Well, that would be Mr. Ramirez. That would be Mr. Ramirez. He's more than welcome to have a meeting with him and discuss what it is that we're bringing to the table.
Yeah, because that, you know, we need to, you know, it's great to have a
That's a
fine,
good
but it
idea.
doesn't solve a problem, you know? You know?
I agree with you. The only thing that would be good for the court to have is repeat offenders, because that's where the court can see, well, it's the third time you're here.
Yes,
You know,
now.
now I'm gonna double date you or
And
whatever.
so maybe, if we, increase maybe rabies clinic and microchip clinics, to
Yes.
reach out to more people and help them out that way.
That
It would be a benefit for the community and for the children.
So absolutely, protecting the public is critical, especially from the standpoint of
Yeah.
our shelter.
Because that's what we're doing. I mean, Labs and Give the Bowl, where we started, an RTO program, and basically we started to increase our rabies clinics and our microchip clinics.
Thank you.
And that's, you know, because we want to see more, we're trying to see more live release, you know? And there's animals here at the shelter, so the only way that we could brainstorm was to increase our, rabies clinics, because without a rabies, they cannot get a, supposed to get
Yeah,
a microchip, you know, they need to be in compliance.
Yes, the fine, the fine for a person that doesn't have a dog currently vaccinated against rabies, minimum is $300.
Yeah.
So that really makes a lot of folks kind of hesitant or can get lenient because.
And then they surrender the bill, it's just worse.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramirez, on that being said, like, there's things that we can do, that you all do here, and then there's things that go to the court. I mean,
what goes to the court is just the enforcement of the actual citation.
I was thinking like, those meeting, I mean, maybe you could have a meeting with the judge and suggest something like, or present something that we're suggesting, is that something that's doable or not?
I don't understand your question.
Well, like Ms. Cavazos just said, there's a fine, let's say there's a fine for $200. Court is out there, they have no idea what's going on here, to be honest with you. So, if they say, okay, we're gonna give you community service, or, I mean, maybe if they know that an option that we think it's, as in everybody thinks it's an option, they might be open to saying like, yeah, they could do community service, they could lower the fine, they could charge the higher fine, or they could do that, what you just said, which would be beneficial.
We saw the
I mean,
problem.
I don't know how that works, to be
No,
honest with you.
the municipal court judge will enforce, and he or she will make that decision based on the evidence being heard. Our officers will from time to time be called in by the judge to present additional information, and we do. But it's, you know, I can't tell the judge how to handle this case.
No, not the case itself, I'm saying how you suggested on
Yeah.
how the
There's a lot of
the
people, for example,
recommendation.
that come in even on traffic tickets and say, I can't pay it, so they do community service. You know, they even have amnesty weeks, they have all kinds of other alternatives for people that truly have a problem. With us, we're trying to solve the problem of people not vaccinating and microchipping and all of those things. So if we could suggest, look, it's
You
just
have a
like,
$200 fine
Right.
versus paying the $200 fine, vaccinate, neuter, spay, whatever, bring me the proof, and
Bring the proof.
then that's
We'll waive.
something that he would
Yeah.
waive or
we
whatever.
would subtract that from your total fine.
Whatever.
Those things are things that are probably at the municipal court,
That's
Our
what we're saying.
question is, how do we get that to the municipal court?
that would be something.
I mean, do
No,
you all,
This is what probably would happen, it would be nightmarish and not to do one. Now, I would have to tell my officer, be lenient, call them in and let's negotiate. I can't do that because I'm breaking the law myself.
okay.
So, you know what, so again, as an attorney going to the judge, I mean, how much can you influence a judge with a case? You gotta go present your case. And so if the fine is gonna be waived in lieu of,
I guess what we are saying and what Ms. Gato is saying is That if the judge were made aware of the situation and the problem we are trying to remedy, we could suggest perhaps ways to remedy the problem, and obviously, he may have some
Okay, so,
ideas in himself, and
So-
we can't force him
so
to
this is
do
what
anything.
happens, and Rudy, correct me if I'm wrong. If a citation is issued today, okay, the court date assigned could be 30, 40, 50, 60 days away. And I've seen it here. I can't keep a dog here 60 days.
Why
No,
is so
well, we're
long?
not saying that.
No, but that's
No,
what happens.
no.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Because they're not releasing that dog, because they're not supposed to release it if it's not microchipped, and it gets a little bit
So
technical.
yeah, it would be nightmares for us. We
So why
we
is the
have,
citation so far off is my question.
No, that would be.
the court is the one who,
Because they have so many cases.
their dockets.
So you will give a citation and then they say like if it's 30, 60
Yeah,
or.
we can't dictate to the judge here next week or.
So when you all give a citation, there's not a date on there?
Yes, there is a date, and when the person
They
goes,
appear?
yeah, they appear, then the court will assign them a certain date, cause they'll ask him, what is your plea? And the citizen will plead guilty or not guilty, and if he's pleading not guilty, then it's gotta go before the
I get
judge.
you.
Is it appropriate for the judge to prioritize our citations versus others?
Well, and maybe we wouldn't have to do that, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. What do they do with other cases that are not animal cases? You know, people that have tickets or whatever, a lot of people don't wait until the day that the
Yeah, they
court
take care of
hearing,
that.
they go in there and try to make arrangements. You know, can I take defensive driving, can I do this? And you talk to the clerks.
But we don't have the space.
Okay,
Look at the intakes versus all the outs.
I'm not saying
I
that.
think like one of the recommendations that I did, to Rudy while you were away, was maybe increase the rabies clinics and the microchip clinics. And for all the officers, I don't know how your RTO thing
But
works.
it would be done by us, it'd be by the vet.
Of course, yeah, and just to increase more clinics around the community to, to avoid animals to come in and get it, and to increase the RTO. I don't know about the animal control to carry like scanners and to scan right there and then call it in to office, put us a belong, give me the address, do the necessary and put it back. Knock and put it back
That's what
instead.
San Antonio
And
also
instead of coming to the
did.
shelter
Wait a
and
minute.
bring them in and doing, if that would
Yeah.
less paperwork,
And if we're releasing the
Yes,
dog back to them
cost
with the
to
less
us.
cost, maybe that would help. And
Yeah.
that would help less animals.
But just remember, yes, that everyone can look at the numbers on.
But that's what we're saying, don't bring it in here, don't bring it in here. If they're scanned and there's an owner, then there should be a way to return it to the owner at that point without having to come to
Of
the
course,
shelter.
if they do have a chip and we do identify them, we cut them loose.
Yeah, but you bring them here first and you house them, and then they get a
Oh, well, so you-
citation, they get,
They have to have some sort of record of what you're picking up,
There's
releasing.
no way we can do that. How are we gonna prove that you're a habitual violator?
When they call it in,
Yes,
take
we
notes,
have to
and if
have
it's the
the
same
system.
person, then there's an issue. But if it's a
So
one
that-
time.
But by intake, we have to bring them in.
I guess what I'm trying to
It's-
say
it's
is
like,
that
can
it's
you-
easy to say no to things, but other cities
But-
much larger than us are doing this.
I don't know without, I mean, I can't, not that I don't want to take your word,
No,
but I mean, I'd have to do my own research.
Exactly.
But again, you're comparing San Antonio, a big city with a lot of resources to, and we've talked about this before our last meeting. We're a smaller community, we have smaller numbers, and we can't always do what San Antonio does.
Well, I realize what you're saying, but if you look at it cost effective wise, how much does it cost us to bring the dog in here even for 2 or 3 days? And how much is
Personnel wise,
taking up
we don't
space?
have the means to do that right now. We can look at it, I'm saying, my argument to yours is, I don't have the manpower to do that.
Exactly, yeah, that's your point.
I mean, if we had all the resources in the world, why not? If we had people that were just, laying around doing nothing, then why not? But you should see our office, how chaotic it gets here when we're short of manpower. There's no way we can handle something like that. And I'm not suggesting something, I'm not saying something, that it's not something that would work. And yes, I will look into it, I promise I will. I'm not shutting the door on it. I'm just saying right now, I can't see that because of what it's gonna take as far as resources. That's all.
Certainly, I can say something back with Ms. Solis's comment. Thank you for the increasing those numbers of rabies clinics that definitely help, and it makes it easier. A lot of times the citizen feels more comfortable when you go claim my dog, so definitely that's a big plus. But in addition to that, spay neuter will definitely, if we can get that going, it'll definitely be a big plus. In the reduction of stray animals out there.
No, we are actually, we're spaying neutering every week, like 50 animals every week. Within, Lapson and Best Friends, we do 50 animals a week. And, yeah, we've been trying our best, and we've been increased our intakes, but we also, in order for us to help, the city and ourselves, we just started to do more rabies clinics and more microchipping.
But do you know that we house probably the most pit bulls? And what do you think that the community uses for breeding purposes to make money, okay?
For dog
So
fights,
if
we
you
just
go
got
to
one.
show me right now, the majority of what we have is pit bulls. Now, we had an incident on Friday, and I have video, but I won't share it because it's pretty bad, pretty rough, where two pit bulls mauled a husky. Okay. So we had to practically arm twist the owner to give up his dog. Because in our file, going back to our file, they had previously released those same two pit bulls
Back to the owner.
back to the owner when they had actually killed another dog.
Are they the dogs that are like getting out of where they're supposed to be?
Yes, but they're over in Totem or, anyway, that incident happened on Friday. Rudy brought back to me a form that said, look, this is what we have, this is what we do, this is what we use. We're gonna tell the folks that if they comply with A, B, C, D, and F, within 30 days, they can have the dogs back. And I'm saying, I'm not signing that. I am not
There's
signing.
already been incidents.
Do we have
So-
an ordinance for a dangerous dog?
Well, there is a dangerous
I would like to
dog,
And this is
I have a neighborhood
but
that's
it
just
doesn't
like your
have
house,
any teeth.
and I'm terrified of
It
them.
doesn't have any teeth.
Well, the
Well,
only
then
thing
we
that
need to look at that.
but their
Yes.
That's
jaws,
important
like,
to talk about.
So,
It's
that's
how
all
they're
right. This is
trained.
one,
It's
one
how they're
example.
trained. Not that
Over
they're
our
mean or
people's
vicious,
lives.
it's how they're trained.
Exactly.
Well,
But-
not necessarily. There was an incident in Temple last week, and I think it was near Temple, right? Where two pit bulls turned on an
On
owner.
the owner, I saw that.
Okay, so it's not how you breed them, this was a lady, I don't know.
But she was also how she was playing with them. It was kind of violent, so yes, they're gonna react to how they're playing.
They're
But different breeds of dogs have
Yeah.
different tendencies.
They're
No,
not-
different
they're not
tendencies, they do.
Yeah.
That, yes, the
So-
people do
Yeah.
breed them correctly, yes, but pit bulls are
So,
aggressive.
where I'm going with all this, and then I'm going off of your point, is that I think the work needs to be done on the ordinance.
They
Okay,
really
that will help address what you're talking about, that will address my concern. And so I was successful finally in challenging Rudy and find me something else, because I will not sign this. This was a day or two ago that I told him I wouldn't sign it. And he went back to the owners, and they agreed
Before you came on
to
board,
release to us.
Okay, good.
They didn't own them.
good.
So they can be put down.
Yes.
We really need to look at that ordinance and put some teeth into that, and I know that, I belong to the animal law section of the state bar, and there are many cities, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, that already have those dangerous dog ordinances in place, and they've been tested, and, if you like, and I can give you something to give to your legal department, I
Sure.
can get you copies from several
Be
cities.
more than happy.
Because
The
we
thing is that
really
right
do
now,
need to do
we're
something.
going at the shelters, and I don't know about the city, but, we just got dropped from our insurance too, because we carry certain breeds. So insurances are also looking into that, so we comply or look for another, but most of the insurances right now are not covering because of the high liability there is, because of the certain breeds, and, one of them is like the pit bulls, what's the first name? Rottweilers, and the other, the beautiful ones,
Charles.
the there are certain breeds, that they drop us. If you carry these breeds, we cannot insure you.
So some of our rates are, or some of these that you see are misleading because a lot of them are pit bulls. We put down a lot of pit bulls because that's the majority of dogs that we bring in.
Those are the breeders,
That's right.
that we need
That's
to get.
So we're not gonna release them that easy. So when you have intake of 100 of these dogs, I'm not gonna be very, sign happy to release them either.
Do we have any pit bull rescuers that we're currently working with?
Not that I know of.
There's a nice one.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's no.
maybe Michelle,
I'll talk to her.
Well, Michelle won't take any large dogs. She can't, she took all small ones.
Yeah, but they have very good connections,
Oh, no,
and,
yeah.
and they should know of others.
That do take the big
Yeah,
ones.
they'll take the big ones.
Labrador, what's another
For
one?
her, it's easier to transport
maybe
smaller.
this,
Any more discussion on item 7?
No.
Okay, and I'll come back with something, and we'll keep talking and look at the ordinance, do some amendments. have
I'll
our
get you
people-
some from other cities as well, so at least you all can start
Very
looking
good,
at them.
thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 8, discussion and possible action related to foster to adopt numbers, follow-up, and any matters incident thereto. And Ms. Lisa and I had both discussed this and asked this to be put on the agenda, because our concern was that it's great to get the animals out, to fosters, but, and I know that staff and your staffing numbers are a big issue here, but a lot of these animals are released to foster without spaying and neutering or.
Absolutely,
So,
they do that, they'll do all that. As a matter of fact, a lot of these groups don't even care for us to snap test them. What happened, okay, let me get another, just to explain to you.
foster.
Yes, fosters, well, foster to adopt, I'm sorry.
Okay, foster to adopt, okay.
We're talking about
Okay.
rescues, no, I was mistaken for rescues, so go ahead.
No, foster to adopt, if they're going out, what kind of follow-up are we having?
They have 30 days, so if you come into the shelter today and you select a pet that you like and you want to adopt it, but it's not, it doesn't have all its vaccines yet, it's certainly not gonna have the surgery until we know that it's gonna be adopted, but otherwise it's a waste of money if we put that animal down because no one wants to adopt it. So it's here, you select it, we will then tell you that you have 30 days to comply, and there's a form that we have for them, and it tells you that we'll be calling you to set up an appointment for vaccinations, especially for the puppies, that they'll probably lack all vaccinations. And so we'll call you in so that, in an orderly fashion, that once a week, whatever, every 2 weeks until you comply with all the vaccines. Once you're done with the vaccines, we're gonna do the final appointment, either here, more than likely, if it's a neuter, we'll schedule it with Dr. Linebacker on Thursdays. For space, she wants them in her clinic because it takes longer and she has more personnel. So once that operation is completed, the animal is brought back here. We call the person to come pick it up. They already know in advance it's going to be $137. Between the time that they foster to the time they adopt, they have incurred zero costs. And so we charge them for the adoption, for the spay, for the vaccines, and so it ends up about $137. So 9 times or higher out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10, they will come through and they will adopt it and pay the $137. So that's how we do it here.
So there's no way to charge that fee ahead to kind of force them to come in and get that stuff done?
I don't know what our ordinance is, I'll have to see what our ordinance is, but that's a.
That way they're more
Exactly.
motivated to
Yeah,
get already paid for it.
the numbers here show like, right here, 16 fosters, but 16, 15 surgeries that same week, So basically, that's a little wash right there. But then I don't see more surgeries done, to kind of bring down that foster to adopt.
Look at the monthly total, because the weekly total we've had, let me tell you,
Okay, no,
2 weeks
Explain
ago,
to me.
2 weeks ago, every single kennel worker developed some kind of illness. All our ACOs, one after another, and so we were in a bind. We have to have the health department help us with coverage for ACOs because they'll do that. And so we don't ever, even though they're on our payroll, we can't tell them you can't be sick. So 2 weeks ago, we had, I don't know, something like 3 or 4 days out of the week where we had one single officer covering 100% of the work.
It's crazy.
So that's how things kind of go when I say, guys, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It really is.
So how can we get a number of how many fosters to adopt you have since previous years, or like your number, in order for us to see like that foster to adopt, you know, that you're actually fixing, you know.
Our system is incapable. I tried to get that number. As a matter of fact, we have an audit that's ongoing right now
Okay.
by our internal staff that was instructed by city council. So they're doing an audit and they requested that information.
Should
I
we-
couldn't pull it from the system.
should
I
we-
called them in and I can't do it.
Because, I mean, we would love to see that you're, I mean, this is great to see a wash where, you know, fosters
Yes.
to space and neuters that same week.
Yes.
But it would be also good to see also numbers that you're also trying to, you know, fix or follow up on those animals that
Yes.
have been released
Yes.
already and
Yes.
not being
I
fixed.
think
Yes.
that the suggestion by Ms. Trevino is excellent because there's the incentive. If they've already paid for the service, they're gonna bring in their animals to get it done.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Just getting them to do
You know,
that.
that's a good point. Now, just throwing it out there. You know, just playing the devil's advocate. That could throw our numbers off. And
But
this,
you know what?
And
They're still
as an
fostering.
animal person, and I know all of you all know, it costs you a lot more than $137 if you're gonna go out there to private vet.
You have $25 every week and then
This
it's
is
just
like,
Our average cost for a cat is $387, and that's only vaccines and spaying, neuter, not even the cost of food. And we only charge $60 for adoption.
exactly.
So it doesn't
we
even
charge
cover,
$60 as well.
yeah, and that doesn't even cover, you know, half of the cost that we go through. That's not even counting, because they eat more than dogs.
So if you know, it's great, and there may be people that say, you know, I'm gonna go get this animal, and if it doesn't cost them
But-
anything, they're
but-
gonna take it,
But if
but.
you do that, it's no longer foster to adopt. You realize it. It's just gonna be adoption.
Adoption.
Yes.
Well, previously, we
Yeah,
brought
that's
that
what
up
I
and they
was
said
saying.
that then they bring them back. A lot of times they bring them back.
And they do it.
Yeah.
They
They
do.
didn't work with them or
Yeah.
they just didn't
You
want
gotta
that.
charge them something.
Yeah.
The thing is that they're releasing animals without being altered, fixed, and people are not, you know, responsible to come in and fix them. So the dog still stays out there, and they have puppies, and so we're working in a circle, so we're not actually cutting the root from, you know,
Mhm.
we're not fixing the problem, we're just working in circles and circles and circles.
Our numbers are not that low, I mean, yes, I think, and I tried for the auditors to give them that information. They wanted me to go from 3/25 or March 25th forward to see how many are in our system as of 3/25, March 25th. It doesn't provide that. It gives you other information, so, we have to do it manually and.
We gotta change that software, like you said.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah,
I have to.
Well, and maybe we should, you know, discuss further and look into that suggestion, because it really is excellent. If you really, really care about foster to adopt, and it's gonna be your animal, because it came in here.
But it won't be foster to adopt, it'll be adoption.
Well, yeah,
Because when you foster, it's still our animal.
right.
And when you adopt, it's now
Yours.
their animal. And so it's a total different,
Mhm.
They're
program.
responsible and everything.
It's no longer foster to adopt. If we do that, it's just adoption.
I know Mr. Ramirez and I have talked about it, and I know he wanted to implement it, you know, start, you know, working on it, was that maybe the adoption, to fix the animals are, they're more adoptable, for, in case they have like their adoption events and all that, and try to have all the animals for adoption fixed already, so we can also lower that, you know, foster to adopt. He also mentioned, you know, we talked about it, and he was gonna be trying to have more surgeries in that, in, to be able to kind of cut down also the animals that were left from the shelter, not fixed.
Now, they won't fall through the crack. Our officers will go pick up the animal after our attempts. There's a risk that they have already bred the animal unbeknownst to us. But I don't know of any cases, Rudy, and I haven't been here just 3 months. I don't know of any cases where Karina, where we've had to go after the person and they won't give up the animal. So we haven't had a situation.
Yeah, what we had is that we catch them on time and they go straight to the doctor's office.
And in many cases with us, we pick up, we don't pick up animals, but people will take us animals and we'll take it in and it belongs to a neighbor or whatever, and they go claim the animal, but we already fixed it, and they don't want the animal anymore. Because it's been fixed.
Yes.
So we have a lot of those cases there, because we right away, within that week, we fixed our animals,
They need
right?
cash flow.
And they won't,
And not just that, but the
They don't want the animal
mentality
anymore.
of, they think of them and they use the rationale of a human and they say, we wanted to have at least una familia, like have family. It's like,
That's
we
where you
are
know
a
that
family.
they
It takes
get
away as
cancer,
much of
get
this.
this, get
Yes.
this, that, you know what I mean? You just educate them.
Yeah,
Everybody I talk to, I tell them, no, they're going to die faster, quicker. Like, if you really like them, then you can avoid all these illnesses, but, oh, I didn't know that, and it just makes it easier to convince them.
Like 2 days ago, the lady said, and can you reverse it?
But then you really don't want the school.
Yeah, I saved it over here, I'll just reattach.
Seriously? No, that's uncut. And they didn't take it was a German Shepherd, and they didn't take it. They left it there because it was fixed already and they didn't want to.
On education, I mean, is there anything free that we can work on? And when I say we, I mean us, like, we wanna help you, we wanna give you more work. Can we reach out and see, like, just to educate the public? I mean, there's sometimes segments, sometimes people just wanna write about something, or they wanna have something on TV, is there such a thing?
As long as it's controlled and it's not information that goes beyond what we really can do. And so, it has to be,
I
okay,
mean,
so.
everything would have to be authorized, I mean, anything that's
Yeah.
gonna be said, but I'm saying, like, it would be really nice, I could reach out to, like, some magazines that come for our business and they wanna,
But let's say you're very passionate about something and then all of a sudden it slips and you say, well, the city's not doing this, but I want it to be.
no. And that would maybe have to go through somebody to check it, but, I mean, we've done articles that we paid ourselves where it's about spaying and neutering, like, the benefits of spaying and neutering. It's like, I can't implement my beliefs in somebody that doesn't believe what I believe, but I can educate on the advantages or
What we can
There's
do,
lots of videos and we could even put just the links on our
on
website.
our website.
yes, well, yes, I'm saying yes, it still has to be approved by legal because, again, it's.
And that's good, that's where we're
No,
going to
but
get.
there has to be careful.
We're not gonna
It's
fix
still
it.
liability.
You did a great job, but look at this huge liability you create,
We're
you're
talking about
happy.
liability right now. It's all about liability and what this group can do.
Yeah.
So we gotta come back again. If we work on something at a committee level and we all sign off on it, whether a video or a newsletter that goes out, and it's all approved by all the people that need it approved, then there's no liability, we can do it, boom, and go. But again, remember what I talked about last time, at our last meeting? I am gonna be asking for 3 positions, well, actually 2, in the education side. So I am gonna be asking for a supervisor. We have Samantha's old slot that is being also requested. And we have a clerk. So I'm trying to put some beef into the education program so we can get out to the community, we can get out to the schools. The success for the city, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, when we first rolled out those blue bins, because the state mandated, the city mandated, that we have a certain percentage of recyclables. That amount was very low. So the city came up with for the sanitation department, landfill, solid waste, a program And it started at grassroots, started at the kids, at the schools, and it's still going on. Right now, that rate's up to 40% from 10.
And
So
then that's
again,
kind
the key here is educating the kids because they're gonna tell their parents, and so,
Yeah.
so when those kids are now grown up, that culture is already bred into them. And so we may not be able to impact it today, right now, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, but it's something we need to start with.
getting, education out is, you know, but you've gotta find ways to do it, and maybe we should make that, if we could well, like, there's groups like Best Friends Society, there's, you know, the SPCA and all of these national groups that already have videos out there. If we could use some of that and make it a requirement for people who come in to foster to adopt, that before you can foster adopt, you gotta watch this video. And at least you capture them, you know, and say, look, it's a 10-minute video, you're gonna have to watch that, or, you know, something on a link on our website, something that people that are already interested in some sort of animal welfare or care or whatever,
But it would
if
have
they knew it, they would spread the word.
But that video, and I like your idea, but that video would have to be looked at, and we would have to put it with our own personnel. And the language might have to be tweaked.
Well,
And we
it talks about, like, for example, because we've seen a bunch of these, and it's national groups that put it out, and it's a general information, like we're saying, about the benefits of spaying and neutering. It doesn't get specific of, you have to come to the city of Laredo's animal control to do this. It isn't a specific, it's a general,
Well, then
the
it
pros and the cons.
would have to be sponsored like by a
For
third party.
example, I'll tell you, you wanna be a voter registrar, you know, and there's so many people who volunteer to do that, you're required to watch the video.
Truly, I understand that, but again, it has to be coming from the city of Laredo. Put yourself in Webb County's position. They're not gonna authorize something on their webpage that's not approved by the people that need to be approved.
Yes, and I'm not saying don't look at it, I'm just saying, you don't have to spend the money, you know, somebody's already done it, they've used it nationally, view it, if it meets with your approval, then use it, you don't
It's
have
like
to
buying
spend
a
money.
house, they have to look at a video, if they want to get into the assistance.
It would- Again, it would have, I still, again, I'll check, but everything has to be produced by us, has to be checked out by legal. This is the way it works with the city, and it can be done any different.
Yeah, and I'm just saying it's doable, without spending a
With-
bunch of money and time.
With certain constraints, it's doable, but it has to be produced and it has to be authorized by all the powers to be.
Okay. Any more discussion on item number 8? Item number 9, discussion and possible action related to shelter surgeries and any other matters incident thereto.
Okay. Shelter surgeries continue, I guess, status quo. We did have a drop last week, and actually for the last 2 weeks, we had a drop. We don't have the personnel here, so what we've been doing is we've been sending.
No, go ahead, I'm listening.
We've been sending off 2 to 3 dogs per day to the Dr. Langender's office, because we don't have the personnel to help her. Because remember, we have a team, so we have kennel workers bringing in the dogs to the clinic, and then we prepare them, so we have 2 more people assist the vet in preparing, so all the doctor does is surgeries. So we need a cafeteria line, we need a line of folks that are lining up the dogs and that are moving them forward for the surgeries. Because of what's happened here these last few weeks, our numbers have dropped, and not because the doctor has been unable to get to them. I told Rudy, and you heard the council member, you know, when he spoke, and I told Rudy, and I'll continue to tell him, things are gonna get worse before they get better. But we're gonna get to where we're gonna get, and it's just gonna take some time. So we fell into a little hole there the last 2 weeks with our surgeries, and they're done. I'll be very honest, and we just didn't have the manpower.
Those vet techs will help if we can fill those slots.
Yeah, it's been open for 2 weeks now, yeah, almost 2
Are you
weeks.
guys advertising the
they're on the webpage, and so anyone that, like, let's say in San Antonio, El Paso, that are moving to Laredo, or they have family in Laredo, they'll call up the webpage and look at it. We normally don't advertise like
Like
the
on
San
Facebook or
Antonio,
anything.
no.
Or on your, department webpage, it's not on?
No. But again, the city webpages are very, I mean, it's a common place for people to go for everything. I mean, so, employment opportunities, just like we do with the county. And so I've received a lot of applicants from many, many cities for other positions, so I know it's working.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a young lady that applied for a kennel worker that I want to call up for an interview, and she is a vet tech in training. So, I'm gonna call her up for an interview for a kennel worker while she gets her training, and if she comes on board, then if that's still open, we can place her.
I'm gonna reach out to, I don't know if you ever met her, but her name was Alicia Zuluaga. She works at labs. She worked at lab, volunteered at lab for maybe 2 years while she was going to school. She already graduated. She used to be like the volunteer coordinator, and she did it every Saturday. She's got a lot of hours.
Not in,
Very, very passionate. They have both cats and dogs. I see if she's.
Reach out to her, tell her
Yeah,
there's
she's
a
working
posting on our
yeah.
website,
Or reach out
if
to
she's
her.
interested.
Very, very good. She used to be my assistant's daughter. Very, very good. Okay.
Any other, discussion under item 9? Okay, item 10, we already discussed and dealt with, and so the, next item is adjournment.
Well, before we go there, I don't know if you all would like to, at this time, maybe give us some direction for the next meeting to have some items like we've discussed already, and try not to make it more than 3 items. I'm just kidding. This is 10, okay, we're gonna be.
It's hard enough to get a quorum and to get everyone to stay.
But if you all wanna get ahead of the game, if not, send in your request to Karina, or actually, it should go to the chair and let the chair, evaluate them, and you discuss them with the chair, and then let the chair, submit them to us for our next meeting, so if you have any items, I think that would work.
One of the things that we had asked before, and I don't think we ever got it, is we wanted to see if each member of the committee was in agreement, if we could provide to all of us contact information for the other members of the committee.
Yes, I
We're
will do
doing
that.
that
Yeah, we had asked that of Clarissa, and we never got it, so.
Karina gets it done like this, so. Thank you, Karina.
Well, everyone's on the email stream, I can see their names.
Yes,
No, but we'll
exactly.
send it to you all individually. And I don't think we have everyone's, but we're gonna have to get those that are absent.
Yes, I'll create a roster with each member and then all the corresponding information moving forward to.
thank you, Debbie.
Thank
I
you.
have a question, maybe right off, but just all the projects that we have going on, is there like a priority that you have them in a list, like the enclosed kennels, the laundry room, the cat house, the clinic?
No, because, well, yes, I will have my priority when I go see the city manager to present my
Right now,
plan.
it's focused on the budget, like, to going line item through line item to see, where to put cost and all that, and from there, make a plan.
Yeah, so for instance, we have a feline adoption facility. And this is, currently to replace the 2 trailers that we're using. And so we're looking to, or at least this is what I'm proposing, a 3,500 square foot facility. And after I spoke to the engineers and the architects, they gave me an idea based on square footage, how to calculate cost for the building, and so I put that together, and so we're looking at $500,000. Now, this cat house is the one that Rosario was referring to. It went out on RFQ. We interviewed 2 engineering firms. We selected an engineering firm. There was no one. In other words, someone dropped the ball. This would be fun. Someone dropped the ball and they went out on RFQ not knowing that it wasn't funded. Normally you go out for an RFQ and you fund it. It's already funded. So this would be one of my priorities. And not in any order. The next one would be we're replacing our vehicles. We have vehicles that are 10, 12 years old. And so we replaced 2 this year. Brand new ones are not, they're not in yet, they've been ordered. So I'm on a program to replace maybe another 6, 2 every year.
Mr. Ramirez, with that being said, something that we have been bringing up in the past, never got addressed, was the heat's coming and your vehicles, they're all made out of steel, like where the steel cages.
These are not, these are gonna be the enclosed.
I know that was one of your concerns.
We've got 2 right now that we're using, they're smaller units. The ones that I ordered, actually, I pushed for these when I was not here. When I was at the fleet department, I pushed because they gave me $490,000. Back then, the executive director, Martin Galeman, who's no longer there. So he had some excess money, so he came to me, and he said, look, this is the list of all the departments that are needing all these vehicles. But this is like $2-3 million. I want you to tell me how old they are and how much expenditures I've done into those units. And I can do that when I was a fleet, that information I can whip out real quick. So I did, and I realized that these 2 need a replacement, so I recommended them and they got funded.
And
So,
you know you were gonna be here.
so luckily for us, we got 2, and so what I wanna do now, every year for the next 4 years, I'm gonna be replacing vehicles. So I'm asking for 2 more. I'm asking for the expansion of the surgery and euthanasia room. We talked about that a little while ago. That one has a price tag of about $386,000. I think this is very important as well in terms of priority. I've got $50,000 that I have to revise the master plan for where everything should fit in the future, so that way we can have some orderly development and not just start putting buildings all over the place that don't make any sense. So I have, and I've talked to Quiroga on that, Eddie. So I got an idea more as what it would take to do as far as that. The other is I have a laundry. So we have the money to buy washer and dryers, but we don't have a facility. So I put a pencil to that, and that's about $132,000. So I'm adding that to my CIP.
The good thing is retirement is also over. That's why 2030. So,
And the last thing I have is what's called a wood kennel winterization, and that's what we're talking about. So, John Orfila, the Public Works Director, and the vet, Linebacker, had gone out before me, so this is their, I'm not gonna take any credit, this is their deal. So they figured, okay, so let's heat up the kennels. So how do we do it? So they brought in some folks and they determined that they would best be suited to have natural gas heaters on the ceilings. And then we have to do all the plumbing for electrical and for the natural gas. We have natural gas in the neighborhood, so it's easy to connect. And so all of that, the plumbing, electrical, welding, the actual heaters, the material to put everything up is $172,000. So we have the $175,000 right now. If council directs me and says, you know what, I'll get you the washer and dryers, start with 1 or 2, and get this one going first, and we don't have to put it on our CIP, we can do it. Okay, or they can get some of these other smaller. That's why I told the council member, I've got a plan, I'm gonna propose to you, I'm gonna prioritize, and then you can tell me, I'm gonna reprioritize. And that's okay, you're the boss, and we'll do what you want. So pretty much that's the capital program that I have, that I want funded 100% for next year. I may get part of it. I may get all of it. So I'm asking for, it's about $1.4 million of improvements that we need to the facility. So it's actually 2 new buildings, a cat house, and then the expansion of the spring room. And the so that's what I'm proposing for next year, and it may or not be funded, but when they don't fund one, they'll push it for the next year, just like with any other capital improvement. This is a 5-year plan, by the way, so they'll start moving my numbers around.
I don't need the motion to adjourn, because I gotta go.
Please, our next meeting is scheduled for when?
Let me see,
The fourth
November,
Thursday.
I'm sorry, April
he's like, right, every